Hey guys, you're listening to the Your Party People podcast. This is Lexi Tran, owner of Ivory and Fern, a Midwest-based photographer.
And this is Katie Murphy, owner of Jane Ray Events, your Midwest wedding planner. We're here to give you couples a guide on how to maneuver one of the best days of their lives and how to keep it from being one of the worst. Welcome to the party.
Woo woo! You guys, we're back. It's Your Party People. Welcome to the party, episode 18.
Woo!
You guys, last time we talked about how to handle the booze situation at your wedding, and hopefully the tips we gave you helped you navigate that a little bit and make some decisions. Today is a little more of a somber note. We're getting a little emotional today. We're going to be talking about how to remember loved ones on one of the biggest days of your life, especially when that person was super important to you. So before we get into that, though, your national day today is Black Cat Day.
Yes.
And also kind of somber. Meow. Also kind of somber. Did you know that black cats are the least adopted cat?
Yeah.
How
and
sad.
I think it's because the stereotypical superstition
That they're
behind
bad
it, maybe.
luck. But
yeah.
Tommy told me in Japan, black cats are the opposite, that they are considered good luck.
Yeah.
So whatever you believe, I would probably believe the latter, that they are good luck rather than that they are
Then
bad
they're not.
luck. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So happy National Black Cat Day to
Go
all of you
adopt
guys.
a cat today. They're really great. They take care of themselves, really.
Yeah, they do. They do. So intro into today's topic, remembering loved ones. My main advice is to highlight, but not to overwhelm.
Yeah.
You know, just because overall it is a really happy day and there's so much to celebrate. And you want to celebrate your loved ones that aren't there too, but just in a way that's not overtaken.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. So, actually, to share a little bit with you guys, my mom passed away when I was really young. And so, sadly, I didn't have her at my wedding day. And I thought of her all the time through the planning and on the day, everything. I think about her all the time still. But I wanted, since everybody knew that already, that she was no longer with us, I didn't want like a huge statement.
Right.
That everybody, that was there, like a huge picture or something like that. I wanted something more so just for me and for the people really close to me to know. And so she loved this huge chandelier that my dad bought her for an anniversary that they had.
Oh.
And we grew up, it was right over our kitchen table. And so I had that chandelier under our wedding arch
Love
to get
it.
married under. So, and it's hanging in my living room now. So it's really important to me. And that was so great because I literally walked up to the ceremony arch and like she was there. And that meant a lot to me. So, and you pick whatever works best for you, but just sharing a little bit about what I did. And it was just more for like myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And like there are so many ways you can do it. Mine was unfortunate that I've had more people pass than probably the average person. And so a way to commemorate all of them was I had the table that had the candles and all the frames with all the people in it. Not because so my thing is I haven't had anyone super close to me pass away, but I've had like uncles and aunts and some grandparents and things like that have passed away that weren't like a huge focal point in my life, right? And so it was easier for me to commemorate all of them on a table with pictures then.
Yeah, and that's probably what I see a lot of
Yeah.
the time, and it's one of our first ideas for
Yeah.
you guys is the
Photo
photo
and
candle quote
Yeah.
combo. Pictures of them. I think it's really fun to see pictures of like you with them.
Yep.
That makes it just a level up of personal,
Yeah.
kind of.
Yeah.
And picking out a quote,
Yes.
whatever quote
There are tons.
Yes, there are so many, and just pick one that represents, how you want to remember them the most.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that a good place for that, I see it the most like at the guest book area when you walk in.
Yep, usually right when you walk in, and it's usually a relatively small table. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's never anything like huge. Like we said, you want to not overwhelm your guests, but to just kind of give them a glimpse. And sometimes, those people probably haven't seen pictures of those relatives for a while,
Right.
so it is probably nice for them to be able to see those people.
It's also fun. I've seen where they have like a memorial table like that and do wedding photos.
Oh,
Of them.
yes, I have seen that.
Yeah, and that's really cool. And in addition to that, the photos, and then also like little tent cards on who they are.
Yes.
Which is super fun because a lot of people go up to it and they're like, cool pictures, no idea.
I don't know who any of these people are.
Right, and just little tent cards saying, this is grandma and grandpa so-and-so, you know, like that.
Especially when you have two families combined and you're not just recognizing one side of the family, but now two. So your significant other side might not know all of the relatives that you've lost over your lifetime. So it's nice for them to be able to make connections.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Another
idea for you guys is saving a seat at the ceremony.
Love
so
this one.
Front row, second row, wherever it may be, it kind of depends how close they were to you, but placing a picture of them or like just a simple rose laying on the chair, and it's kind of more so for you to know that and that they're there, you know.
Yeah, I had a groom, someone on his side had passed, so the first chair in his side of the aisles was a glass box that it was her jewelry box, and it had all of her favorite things in the box along with a picture and then a tiny like floral arrangement around it.
Cute.
And then on the back of the chair it had a sign that was like, this seat's reserved for so and so, and it was super sweet. And it actually afterwards they had moved that to outside by the guest book after the ceremony, and then they had left it out during the reception. So it's a really cute way, and there's a lot of options you can do with that as well. You can, like Katie said, you can do a simple flower, or you can, go the full 9 and decorate the whole chair, or do whatever you feel you want to do, compelled to do.
And that is a little more subtle way to do it as well, which it's there. The photographer gets a picture of it, which is nice for memories too. Yeah, I really like that one.
Love that. The next one is something borrowed. So I've seen a lot of handkerchiefs. That's a really big one that belonged to dads or grandpas, and a lot of times brides are using them around their bouquet or wrapping them somewhere else. Another thing, I've seen this from dads and moms, but pieces of clothing. So dad's shirt sewn onto the dress. I've also seen mom's dress pieces or grandma dress pieces sewn onto a bride's dress as well, which is a super, super cool way to showcase that person. Especially, it's a lot more personal. That's a really subtle way to do it, right? Because really, you're probably one of the only people that know about that part of it.
Right. Yeah, I had a bride, this a couple years ago, that had her something blue sewn into her dress, and it was a piece of her dad's jean shirt there.
My heart.
I know, and I only knew it because of the pictures afterwards, but she only knew that. And I will say when it's really sensitive, like if you just recently lost somebody and it's really fresh, honestly, the better way to do it is something that only you may know.
Subtle.
Yeah, because the day's already totally emotional roller coaster.
Yep,
and so if you get triggered by something else, that could, it could make you really sad.
I've also seen brides wear jewelry of past relatives, whether that be the groom wears a watch from someone, or you're wearing grandma's earrings or necklace or pendant or brooch of some sort. I've seen brooches a lot in bouquets from grandmas or aunts or whoever that may be. So those are really cute, subtle ways to keep it to yourself and not have to explain it all the time. Kind of flies under the radar, if you will. Yeah.
Before we keep going on with other ideas to remember the loved ones that are no longer with us, we are going to hear from our girl, Ashley Anderson, with This or That, and we'll be right back.
Hey, it's Ashley with This or That, and today we're talking about bridesmaids' dresses. Do they all need to match? Can they be different styles, different colors? The answer to that is absolutely. It is super trendy right now, and I'm sure you're seeing this on Pinterest and at weddings that you're attending, to have your bridesmaids in maybe a different color, each of them, or a different style. I think the huge advantage to this is that your bridesmaids get to feel comfortable when they have a little bit more control over what they're wearing. We all have different body types, right? And so allowing your bridesmaids to pick something that they feel good in is going to make your pictures better. They're going to feel more confident throughout the day, and they're not going to be so focused on adjusting and that sort of thing that they attention is away from you. So I think it's a huge win to allow your bridesmaids to pick something that they're comfortable in, and then it's up to you on trends whether or not you want all those clothes to match or you want to do something fun and different.
Thank you, Ashley. Another great tip.
She's the best.
She's awesome. And now we're back with remembering your loved ones and giving you guys some more ideas with that. Another idea that I do see a lot is a memorial arrangement. A couple ways to do that is you can either go with like the classic all white flower arrangement. I feel like that's a staple, very classic. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's a good way to represent multiple people, like a memorial table having this represents everybody here.
Yep.
Another one, which is probably one of my favorites, and I just did this a couple weeks ago, is a memorial arrangement, and it can be big or small, but it was 8 different people and their favorite flowers that they had.
That.
Or something that, if they didn't know their favorite flower, like something that represented them.
Yeah.
And it was a combination of a lot of things that you wouldn't normally see together. Like we had cattails that you see in ponds, peonies, gladiolas, fern, like a bunch of stuff that
just never would be together.
Right.
Yeah.
But then we created it. It was very large.
Yeah.
And we set it in the middle of the church. And when they saw it, they just lost it. Like
my gosh.
It was so special and just really represented them in a different way that you don't normally see.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. That was one of my favorites.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
It like makes you want to go back and like read, like, you know what I mean? And like tell everyone, like that's how you should do it. Or like, that would be so cool. You don't ever think about that when you don't think about these things when you're actually planning. You're just like, oh, I have to do this really hard task and I don't know what to do. And so it's really nice to like be able to hear a lot of ideas and like chew on them a little bit.
Yeah.
But our next one, also one of my favorites, a dessert recipe. So if you have someone that had a favorite dessert, or grandma had a dessert that made for you all the time growing up, showcase that and have that, dessert out as part of your dessert with a note, or, like put it out somewhere, like the rest, if they had a recipe card that they actually had written on, put that out too. Like there's a lot of ways you can do that, but recipe cards are awesome.
Yeah. And it's unique. Like it's not, you don't see that a lot, which is a really cool way.
And then another one is, I've seen this one as well, mini photo charms. So it's kind of like a locket essentially, which is what you could do. But a lot of people will, and I think you can find these pretty much anywhere, Etsy, all over the place. You have that person's portrait placed in a tiny, tiny charm, and it usually clips to a boutonniere or your bouquet, or you could even probably put it on, anything really. Like you could clip it to anything. It's super small, and that's a really cool way to showcase someone.
Yeah,
and keep them close to you.
Yes, I've seen grooms like put it on the inside of their jacket.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily out for everybody to see, but they know. It's like right there with them. It's really sweet. Now here's a little more less subtle way, but it's completely up to you on how you want to do it.
Yeah.
Recognizing them during the ceremony. So I've seen this too. Before they start the actual ceremony, once everybody's up there standing where they should be, the officiant will say, "Can we please have a little moment of silence to remember those that aren't with us today?" And everyone just takes a moment, recognizes that, and then continue on. So it's still kind of subtle, but it's just more announced.
Yeah.
A way to do that. And then reception-wise.
Yeah. Yeah, so during the reception, you can have a song played for that person, or like during toasts, that can totally be done there as well, where kind of the same thing. You can kind of acknowledge that person and kind of give that brief moment, and usually that's when the emotion is really high in the room, when you do those speeches, and that's tucked in there. So obviously a little more on the other end. It's a little more upfront and out in the open. There was one wedding we did where up at the altar, it had been a sibling that had passed of the bride, and there was a chair placed where the maid of honor would have been, with a bouquet on the chair to symbolize that that's where her place would have been.
Wow.
And that was really powerful, and they didn't really acknowledge it. So there are ways you can subtly do it that are out loud as well, without having to like actually words being said. That was a super emotional moment too, where it was just there and you knew what it was for and you knew why
Right.
it was there, but there were no words said. So there's a subtle way to do that one as well. But obviously words are loud. And so,
Yes.
yeah.
And like the toast
Yeah.
or song at a reception, that's something, I mean, just in my opinion and what I would recommend, back to the high emotion thing.
Yeah.
Like I got married 7 years ago, and at the time of my wedding, I could have never spoke about my mom.
Yeah.
Not because I didn't want to, but I just,
It's hard.
It
Yeah.
would be so hard. I would break down and, it would not be pretty. So I did it in a way that was just subtle for myself. Now today, right now, if I got married,
Right.
to you, Matt, lucky guy, to you again, I would be able to say something
Yeah.
and not, I feel like I would be okay and
Yeah.
be able to get through it okay, because
Yeah.
it's just, I've had time to heal from that. So that kind of goes for you guys too. Like if
Yeah.
how big or small you want to do it, just think of a way to remember them, but not to overwhelm yourself.
Yeah, grief is powerful, and
Yeah.
navigate that whatever way is comfortable for you. And if memorial is too hard for you, that's okay too. There are 1,000 ways. You can even just, whatever religion you practice, do whatever you do in the morning to yourself too, to take a
Yeah.
moment. There's no right, or like the last episode, there's no right or wrong way to do this. It just really is what you're comfortable with and what helps you feel special during the day. Because when we're talking about these memorials, they're not really for that person, but they're for us and the others around us that miss that person. And
Definitely.
so, it's really recognizing where you're at in that process and being okay with it and saying, this is what I'm comfortable with. This is what I would want to do, or this is what they would want to do.
Right.
And so it's just really like being okay with what you want and what you're comfortable with.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I hope those ideas gave you guys some good pointers on what you would like to do to remember your loved ones. And thanks for listening today, and we'll talk to you next time.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Your Party People podcast. If you already love us, make sure to come back to the party every other Wednesday.
If you really love us, follow us on Instagram and Facebook at It's Your Party People Podcast. And make sure to let us know your thoughts on the show, and if you have any topics you want us to cover in a future episode. DM us on Instagram or email us at yourpartypeoplepodcast@gmail.com, and maybe we'll give you a shout out on the next episode. See you at the next party.
Bye.